All right, let's move on to the next email today. And the next email today comes to us from Gavin Fitzgerald. And Gavin Fitzgerald writes the following. He writes, "Hey, John, love the show." Thank you so much, Gavin. "I'm wondering if Bohemian Rhapsody and Rocket Man are a big success. Could this mean there will be a revival of the music biopic like in the 70s, 80s, and 90s? La Bamba, Great Balls of Fire, The Buddy Holly Story, etc." All right, thanks a lot for the email, Gavin. And yes, we've got two very high-profile musical biopic-ish movies coming out. We got Bohemian Rhapsody, which I'm very excited about. And then we got Rocket Man, which just dropped its first trailer a little while ago with Taron Egerton from Kingsman in it. The reason I say biopic-ish is that Rocket Man is not really a biopic. It's not. The filmmakers, the directors, the stars have said it's really more of a fantasy story that kind of uses these road marker moments in Elton John's life to tell a story, but in a very fantasy, whimsical sort of way, kind of in a Moulin Rouge sort of way. So we'll call that biopic-ish. But getting back to the core of the question, if Bohemian Rhapsody, which I think looks great, if Bohemian Rhapsody and Rocket Man are both hugely successful, what will that do? Now, look, we get these questions all the time. John, if the movie about, I don't know, Yuri, the sentient pet rock, if that does great, will we see lots of rock movies coming out? I mean, everybody just seems to see that. If this is a billion-dollar movie, if that's a billion-dollar movie, what will it do? Well, it's the same answer to anything. Yes, if you put out a movie in a genre that makes $1 billion, it's going to have an influence on what happens. Bohemian Rhapsody is not going to be a billion-dollar movie, nor will Rocket Man. But let's say they are big successes. Could that lead to a big resurgence of the musical biopics? I'm going to say this. I'm going to say no for a couple of reasons. Number one, it's not like musical biopics have disappeared since the 80s and 90s, right? It's not like musical biopics have just up and disappeared. The second reason is this, is that we're talking about Bohemian Rhapsody, Rocket Man coming out relatively close to each other. Well, guess what? Just a few years ago, there were two other big, high-profile, awards-recognized and winning films, musical biopics. I think it's in 2004 and 2005, or it could have been 2005, 2006. Let's go with 2004 and 2005. Two high-profile musical biopics came out in that same era. We're talking about Walk the Line, about Johnny Cash, and we're talking about Ray with Jamie Foxx. That won Jamie Foxx an Academy Award, by the way, and Joaquin Phoenix got nominated for an Academy Award for Walk the Line. So we had here two big, high-profile, award-winning musical biopics that came out relatively close to each other, and they both did pretty well. Did that success of those films trigger off and start an avalanche of musical biopics? Not really. We still got musical biopics, but did it create like a resurgence, a renaissance, like a new age for musical biopics? No, it didn't. They were great movies. They were solid movies. They were award-winning movies. But nobody looked at them and said, because they're musical biopics, that's why they worked. No, they were just great movies. And I think if, and these are big ifs, if Bohemian Rhapsody and if Rocket Man are both good and have some success and maybe even some award success, I think we're looking at the same situation. I don't think it's going to trigger off some huge resurgence of musical biopics, and I don't think it's going to mean that it's going to alter the genre and how people address and approach the genre forever and ever. Amen. I don't think it's going to happen. We just saw an example of this a few years ago with these two films right here. I don't think this will change anything now. Maybe I'm wrong about that. What do you guys think? Do you think successful Bohemian Rhapsodies and Rocket Man could spark off a flood of new musical biopics? Or do you think, like me, that we've already kind of seen it before and it didn't really happen? Jump down to the comment section below and let me know what you think. All right, let's move on now to the final email of the day.